everybody, welcome to Positive Plus Dog Training. My name is Jen, and I am here today to talk about setting your puppy up for success for the holidays. Not just for the holidays, setting your puppy up for success in general, but particularly for the holidays. I really wanted to do this piece because I know that it's a sticky time of year, so you're getting ready for family to come or maybe to go visit family, a bit of both, and you're at the same time you're training your puppy and waiting for puppy class to start, so you don't generally have a lot of direction at this point. So to me it was really important to do this tonight to help those in those situations, really to set the puppies up for success. An important thing to understand about dogs in general, and the puppy stage, is that the socialization period, so the period at which your puppy is developing an emotional response to the things around them, people, dogs, things that are happening inside your house, things that are happening outside your house, the doorbell, all those kinds of fun things that are just life for us, they're normal life for us. For your pup, they're not yet normal life. They might be, depending on where they came from, but for the most part they're still learning. Your house and your sounds, the things that are happening in your environment, are not normal life for your pup. So how we deal with these things makes a really big difference in how they fare for the rest of their life. And what I mean by that is, in a puppy's development there are different stages that they go through. And this is little Odin. He's gonna be my assistant a little bit. We'll see what he does while he's with me. As your puppy develops, they're developing many different things, much like a human child would. So they develop their eyesight, they develop their brain, their body growth, but most importantly for us to understand and to really wrap our heads around is they are developing emotionally. Their emotional development starts shortly before you bring your puppy home, but continues after you bring your puppy home. Odin is already getting into some toys that we'll talk about, some really good toys that are helpful for socialization and just creating good responses. Before I go on, I just want to let you know, if you have questions while I'm talking, please do type them up and send them to us. My assistant Carlos will let me know what those questions are and I can talk about them. So please feel free at any point to type in a question. So back to the socialization. The critical socialization period, and by critical that means that everything and anything that does or doesn't happen with your puppy develops their emotional response in life, develops who they're going to be as an adult. This does not mean that we can't change things later on, but it means that it does make it a lot more challenging to change things later on if they have experienced something traumatic, or have developed not the best emotions in that period. We will have a harder time changing that later in life. But if we are aware and we're able to work with what we see in the moment right now, then we will set the stage for our puppy to have a happy, healthy, emotional response to things later on in life as well. And that critical period ends somewhere between 11 and 12 weeks of age. So usually you've had your puppy in your home for a couple of weeks. Depending on when you brought your puppy home, most puppies go home around the 8-week mark. Depending on where you got them from a breeder or whether you got them from a shelter, who knows where you got them from, but generally that's when I froze. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. So in that period, it is super important that we make things positive, happy, and fun for our dogs, so that they develop those healthy emotions that we want them to have. We want them to be happy to see people, and we want them to be happy to meet other animals and children, and also we want them to know how to take their own space, how to leave or go somewhere else, do something else when they aren't feeling very well emotionally. And this is something that all dogs can learn. We know that by nature, most dogs, they're designed to be reactive, if you will. So that means that if something is making them feel unhappy or worried, they're designed to get big and loud to make that situation change, to make the big or to make the scary thing go away. However, they 100% have the ability to learn how to remove themselves, much like we would. So if I think about myself going to a big Christmas party, I'm a little like a dog, I'm told all the time. So this resonates with me a lot. I think about it a lot when I'm going out. I don't even like the mall. I'm not a person that will shop at the mall for Christmas. I like to shop at home so I can avoid all that. And the main reason being is that I find it incredibly overwhelming. The noise, the contact, especially when it's busy, there's a lot of contact in the mall, things like that. And the reason why I talk about that is because in the event that I have to go to the mall, or in the event that I do go to a big Christmas party and I find myself in a group of people and a conversation comes up that makes me feel uncomfortable, I have the ability as a balanced human being, relatively balanced, but as a balanced human being, I have the ability to decide when enough is enough and to calmly and appropriately remove myself from that situation. If I have to return, then I will return when I'm ready to cope and deal with that situation better. And maybe the conversation has changed when I get back in, or maybe the store that I'm going back in has a lot less people. Who knows? But I have the ability to change that for myself. And our dogs can learn that exact same thing. So they can learn to acknowledge their own emotional changes, and they can learn how to remove themselves and make themselves feel better before they come back. So that's basically what I really want to talk about tonight, because over the Christmas holidays, typically, lots of things happen. We have more people come over, the doorbell rings more often, we have things delivered to our house. Normally we might not have that many things delivered. We might have takeout delivered a little bit more often, just to make up for the hustle and bustle of the season. And maybe also too, we have to leave the house more often to go visit our family, which might mean, if with a brand new puppy, might mean taking your puppy with you, or it might mean leaving your puppy behind. Kind of really depends on what the situation is and where your puppy is at emotionally. Odin's getting himself into trouble. So talking about setting up for success. Hi, buddy. So how can we teach our puppy how to make appropriate choices? And how can we help our puppy out when potentially scary things are happening? Let's talk about, the first thing that we'll talk about is how to help our puppy out, okay? Because that's probably, you're going to be doing a lot of that, helping your puppy out when scary things are happening. And scary things can even be wonderful things. So that means it can be somebody coming to greet your pup, someone coming to say hello at the front door, or maybe you go into a family member's house for Christmas and all of your cousins and aunts and uncles want to see your new puppy, because who wouldn't? And if we allow person after person to come see our puppy in an overwhelming way, while it sounds wonderful that our puppy is saying hi to lots of people, we really, really do have to consider how they are saying hello. So I'm going to take a moment here. I'm going to get my little Odin's attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create good associations, right? So that means that as my puppy sees new people and as my puppy experiences new things, I want to help my pup think wonderful things of them. And what better way than with food, treats. And yes, we do use food for reward-based training, which is incredibly important. It really is scientifically the best way to train our pups and create really confident puppies, emotionally confident puppies. So right now, I'll divert a tiny bit, I just rewarded Odin for sitting nicely in front of me. So he's been jumping all over me. Yes, good boy. He's been jumping all over me. I want to make sure that Odin learns that people actually like sitting instead of, yes, good boy, instead of being jumped on. Yes. So every time Odin sits, I say the word yes, and I offer a little treat. And I'm going to clarify, little means teeny tiny, especially since Odin is teeny tiny. Oh, puppy. Yeah, oh, yes, good boy. Good job. So, teeny tiny, Rice Krispie, or smaller. So you probably can't even see what I'm showing you here. And in fact, with many dogs and pups, I'll even use crumbs. It really doesn't matter. Yes, good boy. And even still, I can use kibble. If your puppy eats kibble, I know there's lots of different diets out there, but if your puppy does eat a kibble, then the easiest way to train your pup is use their meal. That way they're working for their food, which really is what dogs like to do. That's what they're born to do. And I'm going to come back to that. But I'm going to go a little bit backwards again, back to the socialization period. So yes, helping your puppy out when they're greeting lots of people, or lots of people are greeting them. That's usually what it is. So thinking about the crowd and all the contact, all the touching, all the noise, all the voices talking, that is overwhelming for a dog. And so we want to help our puppy out by not allowing people to greet them inappropriately. So the first thing that I always tell people is that they are their puppy's advocate. So you are mom or dad. Even your children are mom and dad. The whole family is your pup's mom and dad. So your whole family is in charge of helping your puppy to feel good about what's happening around them. So if your pup is greeting people at the front door, then we're going to first ask our guests not to greet our puppy like this. Hi, Odin. And the main reason is because Odin's pretty small. So if you can picture me, I'm kneeling down right now, but if you can picture me standing up, and then I lean forward and come over up to my puppy and tower over my puppy, that's very overwhelming. And many pups will tolerate that, but we might see that they actually start to what we call submissive urination. So they might have a little bit of a piddle, which is usually a combination of excitement because they're happy to see people, and overwhelmed. And that's when we get that little piddle. Not unusual, and don't worry if you're seeing it, but we can help your puppy out. So there's a lack of confidence there. That's what that means. Yes, Odin's figuring it out. Because while he's nibbling at my fingers, I'm not actually giving him anything. So he's got to back away from me to get anything from me. Yes, good puppy. So if we can help our guests greet our puppy, maybe by lowering their body a little bit first, and especially if we have a puppy who's already a little bit timid, then we want to ask them to greet our puppy with a side body posture, so they can lower their body and greet sideways. They can still look at their puppy, they can still smile at your puppy, and they can still pat your puppy, unless your puppy says no. So if your puppy is able to confidently greet your guest with their forepaws on the ground, then I would take the opportunity to tell your puppy, yes, good job, and follow through with giving either a kibble, or if you've got a lot of guests over, then you might move up to a more exciting treat. This is what I've got here is freeze-dried liver. I really like using freeze-dried liver for a couple of reasons. It is a very rich protein, so we do want to be careful. We don't want to use too much, especially with a young pup and a new tummy. But it is just what it is. It's just liver. And the cool thing about it is that it can usually, depending on the brand, it can usually break up into small pieces easily in your hands. And also, even better still, is freeze-dried liver crumbles. It's got lots of dust and it's pretty stinky. So you can very easily mix some liver in a jar, in a container, with kibble or anything else. Could be puffed rice, sugar-free Cheerios, anything like that. And whatever you put in that jar will smell and taste like liver. So you can spread that liver out. They're not going to get lots of liver. They'll get the odd piece of liver. And the majority of your reward treats will be either kibble or puffed rice or something else. All right, and I think I have do I have a question?
Not yet.
Okay, awesome. So that is greeting at the front door. help your guests to learn as well how to say hi nicely to a dog. Offering a hand, letting your puppy go towards the person. So one of the things that I see a lot of, and I get a lot of questions about, is if I want to socialize my puppy, shouldn't I be just having my puppy meet everybody and anyone and bringing them into all kinds of situations, letting them experience traffic and loud sounds and things like that? And my answer to that is absolutely you should. However, there is a right way to do that. There is a way that we can do that that truly does set our puppy up for success. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually allow our puppy to make a choice. I'm going to come right back to that, and I'm going to set my little friend Odin here up with a food toy. So a way to burn some brain energy and keep himself occupied while I'm talking or while you're talking to your guests. So I'm going to take my little Rice Krispie sized treats. I'm going to break them up. And if this was Odin's dinner time, I would actually also put his kibble in here. If you do feed raw, there are some ways that we can use food toys and that we can create mental stimulation with raw. I would, if that is something that you would like to know about, please do send us a message and I will tell you a little bit more about my tricks with raw food and burning brain energy. So I put some treats in here. It's just this is called a tricky treat ball. There's lots of different kinds of toys, so I don't necessarily promote any over others. You just want to make sure that it's a nice quality so your pup's not likely to rip it up very quickly. But this is a tricky treat ball, so it's got a whole bunch of little divots that look like holes, but there's only one real hole. And so your pup is going to poke their nose in all these little divots because while dogs can see fairly well, they don't see the same way that we do. So to a pup, all of these fake little divots look like real holes. So they're going to stick their nose in all of them until they figure out that by sticking their nose in all of them, it rolls the ball, and that by rolling the ball, they get the treats. Odin is so excited. So before I give him this treat, oh yes, what a good boy. Perfect timing. Thank you, Odin. And then I present it to him. So you'll notice that although Odin sat for his treat, for his toy, I didn't ask for it. I can. He does know how to sit on command. He has had some training already, lots of training already. So he can sit on command, but I prefer, as a general rule on my day-to-day training, to allow my dog to be rewarded for what he naturally offers me. And by doing that, I'm going to set my dog up to want to offer me these things more often. So if I simply hold that ball in my hand like I was, Odin on his own decided to put his bum down. He's tried everything else. He tried a couple of different body postures that I didn't really respond to. But as soon as his bum fell onto the ground, I used my magic word yes, and I gave him his ball. So I'll divert a little bit from talking about socialization, and I'm going to talk about just that. The word yes, what does that mean? The word yes means that your dog did the right thing. So it's a marker. Many of you might have already heard about clicker training. Clicker training is a very common method of training, and at Positive Plus we absolutely do use clicker training, and we do teach clicker training. But we also teach how to use the word yes or other markers. There's other ways that you can mark, but it's essentially the same thing. There's a slight difference with clickers that I'll get to, but the main idea is that we want to have a way to let our dogs know the very second that they do something that we like. So when we think about a dog, dogs, their brains, they move a mile a minute. Every little thing in life matters to them. Everything that they do with their body is communication. It's purposeful. And that is true, which is why using body language to train is very important. But also, too, they use body language, but they will also respond to a sound that lets them know when they did the right thing. Because between the time that they've offered me the behavior that I like and the time that it takes me to reward them, whether I'm using food or maybe I'm at a stage in our training that I am moved on from food and I'm using toys, or maybe I'm using a belly rub or an ear scratch, or who knows what it is that my dog loves. My dogs love my voice. come back to that as well. However we're going to reward our dogs for that offered behavior, it's important that they know exactly why they're getting that reward. So when we say the word yes, we will quickly follow through with offering our dog a treat. And we're going to say that magic word the second we see what we like. So to give you an example, I'm going to ask Odin to sit. Yes. There we go. I'll bring him back into the picture, sorry. I'm going to have my treat ready behind my back. Sit. Yes. Good boy. So you didn't see that. Let me try that again. One more time. Odin? Sit. He sits over there. Yes. Okay. Odin is preferring to sit around me a little bit further away. So, but the idea is that as soon as his bum hits the ground, or ideally as his bum is hitting the ground, I say the word yes, and then I follow with a treat. If I were using a clicker, the only difference is that I would use a click instead of the word yes. With young pups and families, I typically start you off with the word yes because the clicker is very specific. The benefit of using a clicker over a verbal marker or something else is that it is a very short, sharp sound that is unique in the environment. Your pup isn't typically going to hear that sound any other time. And because it is such a short sound, it's probably the shortest sound that we can possibly make as human beings. Yes. Its accuracy in marking the behavior that we're looking for is pretty much 100%. As opposed to even saying the word yes is a little bit longer. So if you are in the habit of saying good girl and good boy, no problem. I absolutely love that. I tell my pups good girl and good boy all the time, but I start with the word yes. And I'm going to reward Odin for lying right behind me. So my favorite thing to do with any new dog that's learning new behaviors is to take advantage of what they offer me. So this is called shaping, and we can purposely shape, which is usually what we use a clicker for, or we can shape throughout your dog's life and throughout their day, which means that every single time I see something I like, I acknowledge with my marker, yes, and I reward with food, with a tiny little treat. And as my puppy knows the behavior, so let's say I want my puppy to learn how to, yes, good boy, lie on his mat. If I want my puppy to learn how to lie on his mat or his bed, then I'm just gonna put it where I want it to be. So it might be beside my couch, which is probably a perfect place, especially if I'm getting ready to have guests over. I want to set the stage so my dog knows exactly where to go, and it's no question. With a young pup, especially if you notice that they're a little bit worried about life, then I would suggest an elevated place. So something that is maybe like a footstool, maybe not quite as high as your couch where it's easy to go from that place to your couch, but something that is elevated a little bit, bringing your pup closer to you and your guests. What that does is it helps your dog feel more confidence. Dogs like height. Confidence is great. Most of the aggression that we see in adult dogs, I would say 99% of the aggression that we see in adult dogs is fear, right? So it's not confidence. Dogs become aggressive when they're worried about things and nothing changes. So their worried emotions become more worried until they can no longer handle it, and that's when we get aggression. So if we can teach our pup right from the get-go that they have the option of being somewhere else, taking a break, and we acknowledge that and reward that, then we will allow them to make good choices in life in general. We'll teach them how to do that. So if I can set my pup up with their own place, we call it place, you'll learn all about that in puppy class, with their own place, which is a blanket, bed, or mat, or anything at all, flat, easy to roll up, to carry is the best, then I can put that on an ottoman or a footstool, or something else, or maybe just on the ground. It kind of really just depends on you and your pup and what's best for you guys. So place is something that we will definitely do a lot of in puppy class as well. It teaches our pup how to have impulse control. It teaches them how to take a time out when they need to settle when they need to. So I will put that place on my elevation, and every time my pup chooses to be there, I'm going to say yes from wherever I am. The beauty of that word or any marker, a clicker, anything else, is that now, even from across the room, my puppy knows that I've acknowledged his good choice, and I can come over and give a treat. And if I always reinforce that, eventually he will spend more and more time there. The other thing, so a couple of things that I want to talk about before we move on again, is how to set yourself up for success and set your pup up for success is, instead of walking around with a pouch of treats, which you can do for the first week or so of your puppy being home and taking advantage of things a little bit faster, but we want to steer away from having treats on our person all the time in our house. Yes, how it's hard not to sit for a big bowl of treats like this. What I would suggest is, right now you might want to have treats on your person a little bit more so that your response to good behavior is faster. But we'll get ready for when our puppy no longer needs those treats so close to us. And we can have jars of treats. I would suggest having something covered and just placing them around your house. Or, because it's a puppy, you probably have 1 or 2 rooms where your pup spends most of his time. And you'll have those jars readily available so that you're always ready to take advantage of good stuff. And then as your pup knows a behavior, you will graduate from using that treat jar to using other things, like maybe your voice. And I talked about using my voice and how valuable my voice was before. And so I'm going to take this moment right now and talk about that, because our voice can turn into a really valuable reward if we use it right. It is hard for us to not use our voice when our puppy is doing things we don't like. It's easy to get upset, to yell, and to try to direct our puppy to better choices by using our voice. But that's not really the best way to go about it. Unfortunately for us is that, well, actually not really unfortunate. It's very fortunate that our dogs love us so much that we are such an important part of their life. They are social animals, don't forget that. So we are such an important part of their life that any attention from us is better than no attention. So if we come home and we find a piddle on the floor and we yell at our pup, we're not really going to accomplish very much at all. Even if we yell at our pup in the moment, we won't necessarily accomplish very much. So what will happen is one of two things, depending on how sensitive your puppy is. If you have a super sensitive, emotionally sensitive puppy, then you might start to create some fears around that situation. If you have a more confident puppy, then instead of creating fears, what you might end up doing is teaching your pup that if they want your attention, they're going to do something bad. We really don't want that. The best way to get ourselves set up for success in the long term is to actually be fairly silent, be fairly quiet with our pups, unless we like what they're doing. Good boy. He just lay down nicely beside me. Good puppy. If we are able to use our voice in a way that is rewarding, so when we see things that we like, then we turn our voice on. We come and we interact with our puppy. We touch them, we pat them, we talk to them when they're doing things that we like, things that make us happy. And when we see things that we don't like, we can make an interrupting sound. So giving you an example would be, you come into the room and you see your puppy chewing on a baseboard. Not ideal. But he's just a puppy. He's figuring things out. He's figuring life out. He doesn't know any better. So we come into the room and we might go, ah! And that's my favorite sound, because I'm pretty quiet most of the time. So when I come into the room and I make a loud sound, like, ah! Then my dogs know, oh gosh, who did what? And everyone freezes and they look around the room to see who's doing what. But it interrupts the behavior, and that's really all that I want, is to interrupt my puppy's behavior. And then from there, I can now redirect my puppy. I can show him what to do that's better. Just like our children, I would imagine many people who have puppies also have children or have lived with children or have children in their life. And much like children, they're experimenting. They're trying things out. And dogs don't have hands. They have paws, but they don't have hands. So everything is about the mouth. So they put everything in their mouth to see how it tastes, see how it feels. Don't forget, our puppies are teething. So if they have any discomfort in their gums, what feels better than to chew on wood? Nothing feels better than chewing on wood. It has just enough of that give that it relieves the pain, and also dogs love to chew on bones and wood and things like that. So it's very rewarding for them. So if we make one sound, we bring our pups away, then we want to give them something more positive to do, something, a way that they actually can, a way that they actually can reward themselves for better behavior and as well relieve that need that they have. There's a reason why they're chewing on the baseboard. It's not just because they want to make you mad. It's because they have a need. They're teething or they're bored or who knows what, right? So we want to make sure that our pup has options and that we can provide those options for them. So in the moment, if the unwanted behavior is already happening, we will interrupt with a sound, one sharp sound. We could clap our hands, maybe just something like that, clapping our hands or ah. So fairly invasive, but startling. We startle them, we redirect them. And before we actually give something rewarding, we want to remember the short-term memory of a dog is about 30 seconds. For a puppy, that means it's about like 15 or 20 if you're lucky. So we want to make sure that there is about a 20-second at least delay between the unwanted behavior and any reward that we give them. So I usually err on the side of caution. I don't count up to 30, but roughly about 30 seconds. That allows me to make sure I'm not directly rewarding the unwanted behavior. So I interrupt it, I move them away, and if I have any tricks that I have taught them already that they know well, I might practice those tricks. Or I might just get them to do something they already know, so simple, like sit. Or at least wait until they're calm and quiet, something like that. So I'm going to have that little bit of delay after I've moved them away from the unwanted situation, and then I can provide them with something that is going to take care of the need that they have. So if your puppy is chewing on a baseboard, they need to chew. And so we can provide them with a toy like Odin's got right now. He has a nice little stuffy that is kind of hard, so it has just enough give to relieve some teething pain, but it's not easy to rip up. So he's not going to get himself into trouble with this. He's just going to relieve himself with whatever he needs. The other thing might be a Kong. Woo! One of my best favorite things in the whole wide world. And again, it doesn't have to be the Kong brand. I will admit, after years of experience, I do believe that they do make one of the best ones. But there are some other really good ones as well. So we can put easy treats that are easily going to fall out, but what we might actually do to soothe some teething pain is use something sticky. Can be peanut butter, doesn't have to be. In fact, for a young puppy, I probably wouldn't suggest using peanut butter. It's very, very rich. In the event that you do use peanut butter with your pup or as your pup matures, please try to use sugar-free, my hat's falling off, sugar-free natural peanut butter. And definitely, if you do have sugar in your peanut butter, please make sure it is not an artificial sugar. That can be very toxic for your dog. For toxic foods, please do let us know. If you have any questions about that, we will make sure we post that up for everybody to see, especially for the holidays. Pumpkin is a really good one. Canned pumpkin, sugar-free, so not your baking pumpkin, but sugar-free canned pumpkin. You can make your own applesauce just by coring an apple, throw it in the blender with a little bit of water. There you go. You got yourself some applesauce. sweet potato. So especially this time of year, sweet potato is great. And you can line the top part of your Kong or whatever brand you have with that soft stuff. Toss a couple of pieces of loose kibble or liver in there and put it in the freezer for like 15-20 minutes. Awesome teether. Now for some do-it-yourself ideas, we will have a workshop in the new year, and we will be teaching you how to make your own toys at home. Simple stuff that don't cost you very much at all. So and actually very, very environmentally friendly. So this time of year, I know I'm doing a lot of thinking about the paper and plastic and cardboard and all those kinds of things that I use. And we get lots of that over Christmas, don't we? We get lots of wrapping paper. Save your wrapping paper rolls. Please save them. We will talk about that in the new year for sure. But you can easily use paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, all those kinds of things. You can use the paper bags that you get your gifts in. So start to think about those things. You can even save your water bottles, plastic water bottles. Hopefully you might be thinking about using a permanent water bottle that's not plastic. But over the holidays we go to lots of gatherings and it's inevitable we will get at least one plastic water bottle. Save it. Please don't throw it out because we can make a really easy toy with that as well. But anything to burn brain energy and use the oral energy that your dog has. Keeping in mind they're puppies, they're experimenting. So if you think about an infant, everything they put their hands on everything in it, from their hands it goes right into their mouth. And so the same thing happens to dogs as they put everything in their mouth. They try everything out to see how it feels and if there's a benefit to it and what's going to happen if they chew on it. So we want to provide our dogs with the right things that they can chew, but we want to be smart about it as well. So instead of, some of these are good. So simple soft toys are great because dogs love stuffies. They love things that are soft. But we want to make sure that we have a significant amount of toys that we accumulate that are brain toys, which means that they have to think about how to get the food out. A Kong, I usually start with the Kong because I'm going to add something sticky, and this allows me to graduate to eventually having a Kong that's stuffed, filled with kibble, and maybe just soaked in water, or maybe it is has a little bit like a teaspoon of pumpkin mixed in, or sugar-free yogurt, for example, mixed in, and then stuffed and frozen. Eventually your pup will clean that out. It will take a little while for your puppy to get used to that. As you can see, Odin loves his Kong. It's a really good toy. The other thing that we can do with a Kong or a similar toy is we can stuff it and provide it for our dog on their bed when your guests are over. Chances are, as new guests come into the room, your pup's going to want to get up and say hi. However, after they get over the novelty, they will happily enjoy a Kong or other food toy on their bed, which reinforces them being there instead of on the couch with your guests. Being on a couch and on a bed is okay. We will talk about that in the new year as well. But right now, let's set the stage, because as we know that even if we like our dogs on our couch, not all of our guests do. So to be guest friendly, we want to teach our dogs that there's their own space, and then it's much easier for them once they know their own space really, really well and they love their own space. Then it is much easier to invite them onto the couch with us. So it doesn't mean we can't have our dogs on the couch. It means that if we start teaching them how to like their own space first, then we can avoid the struggle of our dog getting on the couch. We get them off the couch, on the couch, off the couch, which makes it a game. And that brings me back to, sorry, I'm having some trouble with my hat. So that brings me back to the idea of setting our pup up for success. And there are 3 general rules. How do we get the behaviors we want and avoid the behaviors we don't want without coming right out and punishing our dog or scaring our dog? Because we really don't need to do that. I have been doing this for well over 25 years. well over 25 years. And in all those years, I have learned over and over and over again that dogs do best and learn best when we teach them what works in life. They're really bad at learning what doesn't work. And for the same reason, we are really bad at learning what doesn't work. And it's all brain chemistry. It's all about brain chemistry. It's science. So this is not just us wanting to shove food at our dog for everything. It's not about that. It is about using brain chemistry to get a balanced, emotionally balanced puppy. And this is really important for us to know at this early young age. Because as I said, within the next few weeks, your puppy's critical socialization period will close, which means that we will have a much harder time at changing emotional responses. But if we do it right now, then we're setting the stage for life. So that means that, we are going to use some management to avoid our dog practicing unwanted behaviors. So we talked about how to help our guests greet us at the front door, how our guests greet our puppies at the front door, but there's also us teaching our puppies how to greet your guests at the front door. So depending on your puppy, if you have a shy puppy, then he's probably not likely to run over to your guests. So that's more about helping your guests learn how to appropriately greet your pup without scaring them and creating a conflicted emotional response. Whereas if you have an excited puppy that wants to run over to people and jump on them, because that's what puppies do, nothing abnormal about that. That means you have a healthy, socially healthy puppy if they want to jump on people. But what we do need to teach them is how to be socially appropriate in our world. So in a dog's world, jumping on each other, mouthing each other, barking at each other, it's all normal and it's all cool. But for us, not so much. We don't want to be jumped on, we don't want to be barked at, and we definitely don't want to be mouthed. So how do we take those 3 behaviors that happen pretty regularly, and how do we teach our pup not to do it without punishing them too much? Well, management means if you have your guests coming over and you know your pup's going to want to jump all over them, have your dog wearing a leash, a harness and a leash. Get your pup used to wearing that in the house. So put it on them every now and then while you're hustling about in the house, while you're training them, while you're playing with them. Have it on so that it's not an indicator that people are coming over and it's not weird. And then when your guests do come over, they're used to it. It's already on. You know they're coming over, so have it set up. And then instead of allowing your dog to run to the door and practice the jump, because every time your pup practices that unwanted behavior, it's like your pup goes, check mark, worked. And then after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and more check marks, it becomes a habit. But if we put that leash on our pup, and we don't allow them to say hi until their 4 paws are on the ground. It could be in a sit, doesn't have to be, especially in the early stages. Just ask for your puppy to have their 4 paws on the ground, and then you'll graduate to asking for a sit. Baby steps. That's how we all learn best, breaking things up into smaller steps. And so I put my leash on Odin. My guest rings the doorbell. Right from that early doorbell ringing, I can help my pup walk over to his bed, and I can drop a treat on his bed or show him that he has a Kong there. Or I can help my pup sit, or I can just stand there and wait for him to choose to sit. If I have a leash on and I stand on it, then my pup will have limited options. So I'm limiting his options. When he makes the right choice, then I acknowledge, I use my voice, and I give a treat. And this is how your pup will learn to love your voice. If you use your voice to reward instead of using your voice to correct, then your voice becomes a valuable reward, which means that later down the line, if you find yourself without food or toys or any other way of rewarding, you just have to talk to your dog and they go, oh, yay, mom's happy. But if I get in the habit of sorry, I lost my track there. If I get in the habit of getting upset with my pup verbally or physically, then that's what my puppy learns my voice is for. So think about that and use your voice purposely. walk your puppy away. And then I did get a question. It was how to stay away from tree. Oh, the Christmas tree. Yes. Okay. Great question. Staying away from the Christmas tree. Use your leash. Teach your puppy how to lie down on their bed beside the tree. And if it's about toys, or for them it's toys. If it's about ornaments on the tree, then what you might want to start doing is lift your ornaments up a little bit, so it's out of your pup's reach, or make sure your puppy doesn't have access to your tree without you there. That's super easy to do. That means that you're either going to have them in their own space, which is having them in a crate. We want to crate train them first. We will definitely talk about crate training in puppy class. And if you're looking for guidance on crate training sooner before puppy class starts, all right, Odin's stolen my hat, so I'm just going to leave it off. So if you are doing some crate training with your pup before puppy class starts, we do offer privates. Privates can be done in your home, or they can also be done online, especially for something like crate training. We can definitely help you, guide you through that. So please do let us know. Before using your crate, it is critical that your puppy loves their crate. This is a positive place. It's a wonderful place. It's not a stressful place. And that's how it needs to be trained. So please do let us know if you need assistance with that. However, they can be in their crate. A Kong in the crate is a wonderful thing to do when you're not able to work with them. You can use an X-Pen. So an X-Pen is basically like a crate, a cage without a cover. And so you can use that X-Pen to go around your tree or around your pup. Depends on them. Again, make sure if you're going to put them in any enclosure, behind any gate, that you have properly trained them how to appreciate that situation. If your pup has already been successful at taking toys off the tree, I keep saying toys because to them it is. I have a 3-year-old Boston Terrier, and while she is super well behaved, she is still a pup in her mind, and we don't have a tree up all year. So to her, when we put the tree up, she was like, oh my God, the tree of toys is back. And so we did have to go back to reinforcing her leaving the tree alone. Now because Pepper, that's my Boston Terrier, because Pepper does have experience and does have training, that was much easier for me to do. All I did was bring her bed that she knows place really, really well. I brought that close to the tree. We all sat around it and started to reinforce it, and then we all started to move away and continue to reinforce it. When Pepper chooses to leave the tree alone, I do provide her with food toys to keep her busy, or food puzzles. So I'm going to talk a little bit about food puzzles. Sorry, I divert. Sometimes I get really excited when I talk about dogs, so I just want to wrap up my first thought. So if that makes sense with the tree, I hope it does. It's a continuous reminding your puppy that there are better things other than the tree. So hopefully that helps. Please do let us know if it does not. Feel free to message us at Positive Plus on Facebook, or send us an email, and we will make sure that we clarify that for you and give you more details. So the rules of just getting behavior that we want and staying and not reinforcing behavior we don't want and making it go away is management. So think about how you can set your pup up for success. They cannot jump on your guests. They cannot get on your couch until you have given them permission to do so. Use your leash, use gates, those kinds of things, your crate. You want a lot of time. This is probably the most important thing. You want to spend a lot of time letting your pup know what you do like. When we turn on, so instead of getting up off the couch because our pup is chewing on a baseboard, and now we've reinforced that chewing on the baseboard because it's what made us get up, then what we want to do is when we see our pup on their bed, or we see our pup chewing their own toy, we want to go over and reinforce that. We want to acknowledge that, let them know that we saw it and we love it. So we're going to pick an alternative behavior to reinforce. So if your pup likes to jump up, the natural alternative behavior would be to sit down. So that might be what you want to choose, is every time your pup sits, yes, and reward. And if you have your jars readily available, then even if you don't have it on your person, yes, over to the nearest jar and get a treat, and your pup is now reinforced for sitting instead of jumping. If your pup jumps on you, you're going to turn away, walk away. Don't get upset. Don't use your knee. I know that's a commonly used method. However, keeping in mind that our dogs are either worried about things like knees coming forward and we create fears around it. We really don't want to do that. Or the alternative for a happy-go-lucky puppy is we create a fun game. So whether it's our knee or our arm or our hand, whatever it is, we push off. Dogs are designed to push back. That's how we have sled dogs. That's how we have dogs that pull on leashes, because when there's pressure, they pull against pressure. They push into pressure. That's what's normal. When we want to rev a dog up for agility training, we actually apply pressure to their chest, which makes them want to push against that pressure even more, so that when we take our hands away, they're going with lots of momentum. So if we keep that in mind, the concept of using our hands and our knees and things like that to prevent our dog from jumping on us, not the best idea. Instead, use your leash, walk away. And I do know there are pups that will bite your bum, so don't think I haven't thought of that. But if you do have a pup that does bite your bum, please do email me or send us a message, and I will make sure I answer that question for you. But most pups, if we turn away, walk away, leave, when they do something like jump on us or nip on us, and there's one more thing you can do for nipping, but if we leave the scene, then what they're learning is every time they start that behavior, they lose us. Are their number one fan. They lose us. No puppy wants to lose their people. So if we are very clear, we set our mind to, we're going to walk away and ignore meaning we're not going to give a physical or verbal response to our dog. So we're going to make sure we're quiet about those situations. And then we reinforce things that we do like. What naturally happens, and I promise you this is true, what naturally happens is your dog starts to lose the unwanted behaviors because there's no point. And they start to repeat the behaviors that get reinforced. Best is to reinforce with food first, and when you see that your pup is starting to get it, then you can start to mix it up with other rewards. And again, I don't mean walk around with food on your person all the time. Have your treats available so the behavior happens first, and then you reward the behavior that was offered. That's the best way to do it. If you do this with their kibble, that's the best way to do it. So I am going to wrap this up. Unless there's more questions, please do send them in. But I'm going to wrap this up by talking about the importance of food, toys, and brain games. For chewing and mouthing, we talked about teething being an issue. However, even more than that, it's practice. So if your pup bites you and you continue playing, if your pup bites you and you talk to them and you touch them to push them away, then what happens is that you're creating a game, you're creating contact, you're making it fun. But if we proactively, this is already ready to go. This is just kibble, by the way. I'm gonna pull one out so you can see. It's just kibble. So you can kind of see. There's nothing more than that in here. In the early stages, you might put some liver to make it smell really good, but this is called a snuffle mat. Okay, a snuffle mat is one of the coolest brain games ever. So you can feed your pup their whole meal in here. Think about how mentally tired, balanced tired, happy tired your pup will be if they sifted through here and picked out all of their food instead of just eating it out of a dish. Now if we eat out of, but if your pup eats their food out of a dish, what has happened? Nothing, really. They've inhaled a whole bunch of calories, a whole bunch of brain energy that's gonna go nowhere. Well, not nowhere. It's gonna go onto your baseboards. It's gonna go onto jumping on people. It's gonna go onto biting people because they have to exert that energy somehow. But if I feed my pup his meal in here, when he's done sifting through every kibble, he's gonna lie down and go to sleep, and he'll probably lie down on the bed that you've been reinforcing every single day. So now we have the perfect combination. We have a mentally balanced, tired puppy who's choosing to go to their own place. Score! Yay! That's exactly what I'm looking for. So taking advantage of the things that your puppy loves to do. Burn that brain energy. The Kong burns brain energy. The tricky treat ball that I showed you before burns brain energy. Here it is, just to remind you. So this Christmas, aside from planning to come to our do-it-yourself workshop in the new year, please think about getting your puppy as many food toys and puzzles. Do we have a puzzle? We're working on getting you a puzzle that we can demo. So get as many food toys or puzzles, and this is a puzzle as well, by the way, kind of the same idea. And a food puzzle is something that maybe they're sliding pieces out of the way or picking pieces up. They have to use their nose to turn a disc to make food appear. If we spend in here, I've actually got a combo. I've got, and this is not a bad idea, but I've got liver treats in here and kibble in there, and I just put them together, and Odin can go nuts, and he can either choose the ball or he's going for his kibble right now instead. So if I can burn my dog's brain energy and oral chewing needs through food toys on a daily basis, I will naturally have a puppy who has less of a need to chew on you. And then when you put that in combination with making that ah or ouch, and I do encourage you, if your pup bites you, say ouch, say it loud. You don't need to growl, it's not about that. It's about making a startling sound. And if you actually think about when puppies bite each other too hard, there's no growling. Typically it is a yelp. So it sounds very similar to our ouch really loud, but we are human. Don't try to be a dog, we are human. So you say ouch really loud. It's the sound and the consistency of doing that. As soon as you feel your pup's teeth, don't wait till you feel pressure or pain, but as soon as you feel their teeth, you yelp really loud, and you're going to stand up and walk away. Disengage. That's super important. Your puppy must learn that the only way he's going to get you to hang out is if he leaves his teeth off of you. If his teeth hit your skin, you are gone. If his teeth hit your clothing, you are gone. So even if it doesn't hurt, hopefully it doesn't. If it does, again, please do let us know, because there might be something else that we need to do. But if it doesn't hurt, or maybe it's truly just playful, puppies have very sharp teeth. They can tear skin really easily, especially when we have our knee-jerk reaction of pulling away, because we're human and we have senses that tell us that we need to move away when we feel pain. So you might feel a sharp poke on your hand, and then you pull away and you get a tear. Number one injury with children. And please, parents, if you have kids, it's really important that your children do learn these rules, that they must yelp or say ouch really loud and stand up and then call you. Because if they walk away, there's a good chance your puppy might keep going after them, and then it's your chance as a parent to take that leash that you have on proactively, because you're in a management plan. You pick up that leash and you walk them away from your child, disallowing them to continue practicing the unwanted behavior. Set it up so your puppy can't practice the unwanted behavior. Say something aloud and just to startle. So a sound, pick a sound, not something that they're going to hear all the time. If you use no, they're going to hear that. How many times are they going to hear that word in a Christmas conversation? Possibly quite a bit. So we don't want to use something that your puppy's going to hear all the time and that's going to become part of white noise. We want to use a sound that we rarely say. So that's why I say ah. I disengage, and my puppy very quickly learns that behavior is not going to work for him. All right, and then when my puppy is being nice and calm and quiet, I can pat all I want. Remember, slow pats create calm, fast pats make our puppies excited, as Odin is demonstrating. And so we can pat them. And I'm going to practice by disengaging right here, and Odin's going to leave me and try to pick something else. He's picked something else. So that allows me to set the stage for exactly what I want. And we found some food puzzles. Yay! So this is an awesome one. I don't even know if I know how to do this one. I bet Odin does. But so Odin has to turn these little, oops, I did that wrong. He has to turn these little bones to make that open. All these little drawers. So you can imagine how awesome a Christmas present that would be. So instead of one dish that is super boring, you can have your pup's kibble split up, or even this could be a really good one for raw food as well. You just have to clean it well afterwards. There are some that are better for raw food because they're easier to put in the dishwasher, but this is a great one for that example, because your pup's not going to take any pieces away and go somewhere else where you're going to contaminate. It's just going to be in the drawers, and he can't take it anywhere. So he opens the drawer himself and eats, opens the next drawer and eats. So this is a really cool one. And then there's this one here. So a similar idea. He's got to pull on this, and then he can slide these and flip them up. So there's lots of fun stuff that he can do to get his kibble that's hidden in the little sections underneath. And just a little advice. When you first get your puppy a puzzle, or even something more simple like a ball, what I really want you to do is spend a little bit of time with your puppy the first few times you give it to him, and let him know when he's made the right choice. If he starts to chew on it, with that magic leash that you have on, walk him away, put it away. Give it a few minutes and put it back down. Or not even. Like I said, short-term memory is 30 seconds. So take it away, let him forget about what he just did, put it back. If he starts the same thing again, take it away for 30 seconds and put it back. Generally, by the third time, they kind of go, well, that wasn't working for me at all, so let me try something else. And then they try something else. And then you can say yes as he opens it and helps himself, rewards himself with his food. But you've acknowledged it. And then your pup will learn how to use the toy and will really enjoy the process. And speaking of our wonderful food toys that you can get, please do think about our Winter Games class at some point. Winter Games is a wonderful one. Winter Games, we have spring games, basically our games class. In our new location, we will have the Winter Games class offered ongoing, much like our Puppy Social. So those are two really good things for you to think about, because you get to buy a package of classes and show up whenever it works for you. You don't even have to come every week. You can come when it works for you. So in our games class, we have one room that is set up with a whole bunch of food toys. And other toys too, not just food toys, but other toys too. There are toys where, yes, things Odin. I know. There are toys where, oh, there we go. Can you sit? Yes, such a good boy. Good job. So there are toys where your pup can take out stuffies out of holes. So like a beehive, and he can take out bees. So there are toys that burn brain energy without food as well. So we set up a whole bunch of these in one room, and that's the brain decompression room, where your pup gets to go in and just have a blast, do their own thing, tire their brain out. And then each dog rotates. And when they come out, we teach them how to do really fun tricks. Like we teach them how to target with their nose. We teach them how to target with their paw. Target just means touch with their nose, touch with their paw, different items. We actually teach dogs how to turn on a light with their hand, or how to balance on slightly wobbly discs. That's a really cool one for many, many reasons. It's a great life skill for your pup to learn how to balance and have confidence balancing. We teach them how to jump over items. I've even gone as far as teaching dogs how to skip. Pepper and I love to skip together. So lots of fun things in the games class. And Puppy Social, if you are doing your puppy classes with us, you do get one free Puppy Social, and we do have a special offer for you tonight that we will hear about. But Puppy Social is also drop-in, so you buy a package and you come whenever it works for you. And we will have it in the new space. We will have both of those classes offered multiple times a week, so you can mix and whatever day of the week works for you that week, which means your puppy gets to socialize with different dogs and learn at different times. So yeah, so that's it. Any other questions? No more questions. Well, I hope this was very informative to you guys. If you have anything that pops into your brain after we say goodnight, whether it be tonight or even tomorrow, please do send us a message with your questions or comments or anything of that kind. And we hope to see you in the new year. Thanks, guys. Bye for now.